ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to turn this portion of the presentation over to the whole purpose of why we come together like this, to celebrate our lives, to celebrate, what we stand for and who we are, and the fact that we're still here as beautiful tribal people. And I will say that if you're not tribal, but you work in a tribal sector, then you are us, So I find that to be very, very important, that your role and your advocacy is very important to us. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to introduce and welcome to some of you our new executive director. But my good friend, man, my mentor, please, our new executive director, Mr. Maurice Smith. Ahoo!
Thank you, Chance. You're way too nice. The one thing I will say is when he said this young man, I was looking at him, I said, Chance, I'm 25 years older than you now. But I want to say good morning, Yatea Bene. Welcome to the NCUIH Annual Conference, and it is a true honor to be here, to be hired as your executive director. But it's always good to come around and see our brothers and sisters, and Indian country's small. And I'm a friend to Indian country in various capacities. My entree to Indian country was back in the 80s and 90s when I traveled and did presentations to inspire youth to make positive choices in their life. And that was really my entree into Indian country, reservation, urban, rural, suburban. And it was an opportunity and a platform for me to really connect and see the issues and the concerns and the disparities that our communities are facing with. And so I'm really grateful to have this opportunity today to be standing before you as the NCUIH Executive Director. NCUIH is relatively a young organization. I'm here today because of your membership, because of your visionary, your leadership, and your active participation. I'm here and I stand before you today. Understanding the nonprofit sector, which is often referred to sometimes as the third sector, is a sector that is often overlooked, is a sector that is sometimes viewed as a negative condition. Sometimes we look at that as what they call a deficit-based approach, aiming towards a new urban health landscape, understanding that landscape as a canvas, understanding that I'm in between the membership, and this is the other piece of the puzzle where I'm excited, and I'm here over the next few days to hear your thoughts, to hear your ideas. Now, I know that there's this segregation of urban Indians, but collectively, we're indigenous, we're native. So when we're integrating and when we're communicating and amalgamating amongst our peers and that division is not made. When we look at our health disparities, when we look at diabetes, when we look at all these chronic diseases, there's, whether you're urban, whether you're res, and I'm a product of both because I lived in both. And I'm from both. So when I look at this canvas and we move today, we want to move to more of away from a deficit base, but we understand the need and necessity to report on that. So when I look at the mission of NCUIH and the work that we're doing collectively, the board, the staff, the membership, to move towards database results, to move towards how do we create change in our urban communities. We have to educate. We have to work within your capacity, within your community, within your membership, within your urban Indian health facilities. We have to continue to educate state, the government relationship, urban Indian organizations. Join me in changing the landscape as we move forward to continue to educate the people around us, to continue to lobbying, advocating, education, and outreach. With that said, I would like to introduce the president of NCUIH, and Donna Keeler.
Welcome to the programs. Thank you for coming. A special welcome to the urban coordinators. We know how much we appreciate you in our local areas, but it's really great to see the support here. And I think you actually have a breakout session, and I think that's just fabulous that you're here. I just wanted to give you a really quick recap of where the board has been. We've been in office for 6 months, almost to the day. And so we met November 19th as our first initial meeting. It was about 20 minutes. And I established several committees and chairs of those committees. And so we left Denver basically with an established agenda of what we would proceed to work on. The intent was initially that we would all regroup in December for an overall board orientation and DC, meet with the staff, but due to personal health conflicts with some of my family members, we were not able to do that, and we didn't really convene again until late January, which was our first full board meeting. And at that time, Dr. Rubidoux met with us, really quite lengthy. It was almost a 2-hour meeting with her and her senior staff. And she left 2 requests to the NCUIH board. And one was that she wanted us to develop a data survey reporting standard that would encompass and be inclusive of all 3 levels of the program. So we know we have comprehensive, full clinics, limited, and outreach and referral. And we have a problem in reporting what we do so that they can report to Congress, or that we can even report to our congressional staff locally how we use the IHS funds. The second request from her was to begin to develop a budget formulation methodology so that if we would get a large increase of money in the budget line item, that we would already be prepared with a formula of how we would do that distribution. And as we began to explore that and we began to talk about that, there is absolutely no rhyme nor reason how our Title V grants are distributed now. It's classified as just historical. I think it's hysterical because I mean, if you think, well, okay, this is basically what your comprehensive gets. They're not alike. They're not equal. Here's what we would think that maybe limiteds get. It's all over the board. So we do need to really come together and figure out a really good method that's fair and equitable, that we really want all the programs to buy into. We have not proceeded on that because we've been really focusing these first 6 months on the survey that we've asked all of you to complete. So in February, we attended the tribal budget formulation meeting in DC. The day after that, we had a conferring session with Mr. McSwain. And this was actually our 3rd conferring, 2 with Dr. Rubidoux, and that was our first one with Mr. McSwain. We were fortunate enough to be at the tribal budget meeting, and they talked a lot about urbans, and a lot of the areas presented increases for urbans. Some were 10 million, 15 million. So we have a plan. Rudy's going to present a plan of how we can better be engaged and ready for the next year's budget formulation meeting. But one of the things that was critical is while we were there, we actually got asked to speak and to really present a testimony. And so what we basically said is that, we're a single line item. We need to pay attention to that people are confused about where we get our money. We do not get it from other line items in IHS, and so that has to be a constant message out there. But we have great support from tribes, and we need to now be due diligent of how we prepare ourselves. So then in March, we had an appropriations budget hearing I provided testimony for. And again, our message is basically the same. I talk about that we're approximately 71% of the population. We receive less than 1% of the IHS budget. We have issues with not being inclusive in 100% FMAP, and that we have problems not being included in TORT. And I'm adding lately to my presentations and testimony the FACA issue, and we'll go into detail during this meeting on that. And also the definition of Indian. And in the Affordable Care Act, it has 3 definitions. Then you get Medicaid, then you get IHS. And so we're really, we're supporting, along with other national organizations, that it would be the CMS regulatory language that we feel would be probably the most beneficial. So then in April, oh, and we also conducted a first round of ED interviews in March. Then in April, NCUIH was invited to actually present at the tribal governance meeting, and that's where you have thousands of people probably attending, and it was fabulous. And I certainly want to thank Jennifer Cooper. I'm sure that she was very instrumental in getting NCUIH as an invite to speak at that. But so very powerful meeting in Reno. And then in May, we were conducting another conferring session with Mr. McSwain on the 4th, and that was Mo's first day. And then I went back to DC the following week and provided testimony for the Democratic Caucus. And there were approximately 8 national, tribal, or national leaders invited, and very powerful senators in the room. And again, our message was very much the same. So every month, we've had a very robust agenda. Thank you again for coming. And I look forward to those of you who I don't really know. Please introduce yourself to me. One of the things I'd like to do is, at every opportunity that I may have, engage with you in your program on things that you think that we could help you with.